On today's program, I have the pleasure to be with Honourable David Kilgour, the former MP and Canada's human rights activist. Hello, David, and welcome to Irava.
Happy Canada's Day to you.
To you too, and I really want to thank you for giving your time in such a day to to my show. I really appreciate your time and your effort.
It's a cause very dear to my heart.
David, today I'd like to talk about the recent convention that you attended with the delegation from Canada in Paris on June 23rd. I understand that you've been in National Council of Resistance of Iran's conventions before. I'd like you to tell us what was so significant about this particular convention.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen more people there. They told us at one point in the hall, the huge hall was full from front to back, and there was an immense number of people there, that there were more people waiting outside who couldn't get in. So the best estimate I could get was that there were 100,000 people or so from all across the world, 40 countries, every continent. It was a huge gathering of people at great expense to get there, and flying there and having to book hotels. Somebody told me there were 70,000 hotel rooms booked in Paris.
Wow.
So it was a huge event, and I counted 48 48 speakers.
Oh my God.
Starting at 2:30 and ending at about 10:30 or 11.
Oh wow. And I saw a little bit of your speech, but because of the time, I guess they didn't have enough time for everybody, and your speech was cut short.
Well, I think a lot of people's speeches might have been cut short, but the important person speaking was Marianne Rajavi, and she, Mrs. Rajavi, made an excellent speech, and she really laid it out. I've never seen her speak so forcefully and so well. I think that anyone who didn't get what she was saying wasn't listening, and I think she made a lot of key points, and so did a lot of other people. You probably noticed, like I said, there were 18 of the speakers were from the United States. Exactly.
And the focus of this year's convention, David, was on Iranian residents of Camp Ashraf and Liberty in Iraq. And, the support for the residents they are receiving is tremendous. But given the support from known figures, like people who are very famous in the United States, does it mean that we should assume that the political atmosphere is shifting in favor of the Iranian resistance, you think?
Oh, I think it is shifting. I think it's been shifting for a long time, but Mrs. Clinton is a very stubborn woman, and as everybody knows, her husband is the one who put the MEK PMOI on the terrorist list, and her spouse seems to be extremely reluctant to take them off it, and when she makes statements such as if they'd all of the people in Camp Ashraf would simply move to Camp Liberty, then she might consider it. I'm a lawyer by training, and she's a lawyer by training. She should know that that's absolutely contrary to any rule of law that any lawyer has ever been taught anywhere in a democratic country. So I don't know what law school, I do know what law school she went to, but I don't think she was paying attention on the day when they taught the rule of law in terms of the Fourth Geneva Convention and what should be happening in this situation. The District Court of Appeal has in effect said that 4 months from now it's going to take the PMOI off the list, and Mrs. Clinton is going to look, I think, and on some issues I think she's been doing a very good job. She's going to look just terrible on this issue, and I don't know why she wants to ruin her reputation with so many lawyers around the world, so many legislators around the world of all parties, of all sides of the political spectrum in the United States or Canada or wherever. I'm astounded at it, and the fact that Canada seems to be the only other rule of law country that's left PMOI on the terrorist list when all of Europe has taken it off. Again, as a Canadian on Canada Day, I'm embarrassed that Mr. Harper's government has simply followed the Clintons in the United States. I think Mr. Harper should show some backbone on this issue. He's been good on other issues, but he's been, quite frankly, he's been pathetic on this issue.
Is there any hope for delisting the MEK in Canada, David?
Oh yes, the minute that it comes off the list in the United States, which will presumably be 3 months from now, when the 4 months runs out, Canada will, I'm sure, remove it within a matter of days after it comes off the. Just enough time after the Americans do to pretend that the two events aren't connected, but of course they are,
Yeah.
or will be.
Yeah, David, as you know, the oil sanctions imposed on the Iranian regime by the EU went into effect today, although it was very late, but still it went ahead today. What Canada is doing in that regard?
Well, it's hard to say because yes, Canada has done some things with sanctions, but I don't think Canada's done nearly enough with sanctions. We for example, shouldn't be allowing the Iranian embassy to put on events in the National Arts Center, in the Carleton University a couple of weeks ago. We should be taking the view that they're persona non grata here, and that they have done terrible things to, of course, our journalist Marian
Zahra Kazemi.
Yeah, Kazemi. Yes, they've done terrible things, and we should be showing. We do take the lead, as everybody knows, in the UN in this resolution every year since Mrs. Kazemi's death. But we have to. I think we have to be much more active on sanctions. And for example, the banker who moved into Toronto, he should be shown the exit door immediately. I don't know how he ever got into Canada, but he should be a barred person from Canada, as well as should anybody else who's associated with the regime. It's simply contrary to all the values that Canadians hold with some of the things we've done.
Yeah, but David, you know, some people believe that the oil sanction against the Iranian regime is not enough. How effective do you think the sanction will be?
Well, I guess a lot of people are persuaded that sanctions don't work. I think the world sanctions that are being applied to Iran is causing a lot of pain to the government. What's probably helping also is the Arab Spring, and despite some of the concerns people have about the direction of the Arab Spring, I think as somebody put it to me in a number of months ago. He said if Gaddafi goes down, then Ahmadinejad and presumably Khomeini will go down too. And so I think there is a feeling. Your listeners would know better than I would, but I think there's a feeling that this kind of totalitarian dictatorship that we have in Tehran is simply completely out of sync with what's happening in the Middle East and in many other parts of the world. So I think that the sanctions are having an effect. The movement towards democracy in the Middle East and elsewhere in the world is having an effect. And as I tried to say in my speech, the government of Tehran has been behaving almost as badly as North Korea, maybe worse than North Korea.
Yeah, exactly, worse. Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of executions of innocent people, and they're behaving increasingly erratically. And I think if only the people listening to us, or maybe not the people listening to us, but the Iranian diaspora, and all of it in Canada and the U.S. and everywhere else in the world would stand up for democracy and stop fighting with each other and saying, oh, you know, you did this back in 1972 or something. If we'd all just get together and stand for democracy and the equality for women and freedom of religion and no atomic bombs, it seems to me we could be more effective than we've got so many different factions all trying to get their particular point of view across.
David, regarding the oil sanction, some people think that they are pushing actually for this, that the sanctions against the Iranian regime will make the regime more mad and it will make the Iranian people suffer more. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't live in Iran, and I know that people are suffering in Iran probably more than anywhere else in the world. So it's easy for me to sit here and say, well, stop buying oil from Iran, and that will bring down the regime. But to this point, I think that the case for trying to embargo any oil from Iran is very strong. And unless somebody who's listening to us today can give a good reason otherwise, I think the more people who can stop buying any oil from Iran, the more likely the government is to topple. But I'm quite sure that perhaps you and other people have different views on that.
But my view is oil sanction is not enough. They need to do diplomatic sanction as well. And as you said, kick out the people who are affiliated with the Iranian regime and don't talk with them. I mean, close their embassies. That's the main point for me.
Close the embassy and just say goodbye.
Exactly.
Well, look, I can't believe the things. Did you see they had at Carleton University? They had a seminar on the thinking of
yes.
Khomeini. Yeah, but was it a couple of weeks ago? You didn't happen to be there, did you?
No, I wasn't there. You know, David, it wasn't mentioned in the media in Ottawa. I mean, I didn't know such a thing even existed. I found out a few days later that there was such a gathering, and I didn't even see any opposition to this until a few days ago.
Oh, you've seen the letters that went to the university president and so on?
Yes, I did.
Good for those scholars, by the way, and everybody who took up pen to object to that, because
that's ludicrous.
Yeah, I'm delighted with that. But let's all be vigilant and make sure that other things like that don't happen in the future too. You know, there's a conference that's supposed to be held in Cornwall, and I saw yesterday that they've said they're going to postpone it. Okay. But if anybody listening to us discovers that it's not being postponed, I wish they'd let you and the rest of us know that, in fact, this thing is going ahead at Cornwall, because it's just going to be propaganda for the regime at this conference, and they may just be pretending that it's going to be postponed in order that they can throw us off guard. But I hope that if anyone finds it is going ahead, they'll let all of us know or let you know.
Yeah, exactly. I urge people to let us know, because we are actually looking for this kind of news, and it's very important to find out and to reveal all these secret things that the Iranian regime does in Ottawa, especially in Ottawa. But with the hope of a free Iran and a day to celebrate Iran Day in a free and democratic Iran, I thank you very much, David, for your time, and wish you a very happy Canada Day.
And the same to all of your listeners too. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. And that was my interview with the Honourable David Kilgour, the former MP of Canada's Parliament. And that will take us to the end of the show for this week's Radio Irava. I thank you very much for being with us on this Sunday afternoon. Please tune into Irava next Sunday at 3 p.m. on 89.1 FM, chuo.fm or radioirava.com. Till next week, goodbye and bedrood. And as always, long live freedom, and have yourselves a very, very happy and safe Canada Day.